The sharpest agony ripping through me that night wasn't the fresh incision burning across my stomach. It was the front door clicking shut, followed by my brother's voice cracking like a whip across the dim living room. I had just hobbled out of the hospital after emergency abdominal surgery, stitches pulling tight with every breath, pain meds turning the world hazy. My discharge band still circled my wrist like a warning. I barely touched the wall for balance when Marcus barked from the couch. "Nice of you to show up. Get in here and fix dinner. Now." No, "How are you?" No glance at my pale face or the way I clutched my side. Just the same old order, as if my body had never been sliced open. For one heartbeat, I almost obeyed, the way I had for 22 years. Head down, mouth shut, survive. Then I felt the shift behind me. The man who had carried my overnight bag the entire way home, Victor Lang, chairman of Lang Premier Hospitality, had heard every word. Marcus didn't know it yet, but the stranger in the doorway ran the entire hotel and restaurant empire where Marcus had clawed his way up to shift supervisor. Marcus finally noticed the tall figure stepping into the light. "Who the hell is this?" I steadied my voice. "Victor Lang. He made sure I got home safe." Marcus's smirk faltered. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. He glanced down, and the color drained from his face as the company logo flashed. Internal suspension notice. Victor's tone stayed calm, surgical. "After what I just witnessed, that suspension might be the least of your problems." Marcus laughed, but it sounded brittle. "This is family business. You don't get to—" The doorbell cut him off. Rachel, my best friend since high school, stood in the hallway with a thermos of broth in one hand and a thick folder in the other. She took one look at my hunched posture and the tension in the room, and her eyes turned to steel. "You should be resting," she told me first, then turned to Marcus. "And you should be ashamed." Marcus tried to puff up. "Who invited you?" Rachel lifted the folder. "Mia, Lila, texted me from recovery, said she was scared to come home. So I brought proof." She laid the papers on the table like evidence in a trial. Bank transfers from my secret surgery fund. Screenshots of Marcus routing my money into his gambling app. Forged signatures on a credit line he opened in my name at 19. And a landlord email where he'd blamed me for every late payment while I covered 90% of the rent. Marcus's voice rose. "You dug through my stuff?" "No," Rachel said quietly. "I followed the money Lila asked me to trace after she kept coming up short for her medication." Victor scanned the pages. His expression didn't change, but the air in the room grew heavier. "Theft from a recovering patient, financial fraud, and an unauthorized vendor approval you signed last month that's now under audit." Marcus lunged half a step toward me. "You set me up." I didn't flinch this time. "You set yourself up every time you took what wasn't yours. Every time you told me I was worthless if I didn't cook, clean, or stay quiet." Flashes hit me. Me at 13 scrubbing floors while he played video games. Me at 17 watching him burn my college acceptance letter. Me at 20 hiding cash in a shoebox only to find it gone the next morning. I had spent years convincing myself it was normal. Surgery had stripped that lie away. Marcus's hand twitched upward, the same half-raised threat I'd known since childhood. Victor moved between us so smoothly it looked choreographed. "Don't," he said, one quiet word that carried the weight of an entire boardroom. Rachel slipped an arm around my shoulders. "He's done this before," she told Victor, blocking doors, smashing plates near her head. making sure she knew he could hurt her without ever leaving a mark that showed. Victor's gaze locked on Marcus. Is that true? Marcus's mouth opened, but nothing came out. His phone buzzed again, building security already on the way, alerted the moment Victor had texted from the elevator. I pulled the lease from the side drawer, my name alone on the renewal. My aunt had helped me secure it months ago, back when I finally stopped pretending Marcus was family and started planning my exit. You're not on it, I said. You never were. For the first time, real panic flickered across his face. You'd really throw your own brother out? The word brother landed like a dull knife. I looked him dead in the eyes. Family doesn't steal your future. Family doesn't make you bleed so they can stay comfortable. Security arrived. 2 officers and the night manager, who suddenly became very respectful once Victor introduced himself. They asked Marcus to pack 1 bag. He tried shouting, then pleading, then the same tired threat. This isn't over. I closed the door behind him with the softest click.
The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was mine. Rachel handed me the thermos. Victor left his card on the table. Legal support whenever you're ready. No pressure. I sat at the kitchen table, the same one where I'd served him 1,000 meals, and sipped broth while my stitches ached and my chest felt strangely light. For the first time in years, the apartment didn't feel like a cage. It felt like the beginning of something clean. By morning, Marcus would lose the job he'd used to control me. By week's end, the bank would demand repayment and the company would open a full fraud case. But the real victory wasn't what he lost. It was what I finally took back. My home, my money, my voice, my future. Recovery isn't only about healing stitches. Sometimes it's about cutting out the one thing that kept tearing you open. And that night, I finally did.